Hello everyone and welcome to The Good Old Gamer, the channel where we cut through the marketing BS, look at all of the latest and greatest technologies as well as old technologies to figure out what makes the most sense for you. So alright, today we have the release of the RTX 3060 Ti. Now to me, the real question is, does this really matter? Now that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about here today. While the card is pretty good, and there were some available at the MSRP, some were not. We'll talk about that as well. Overall, I would say that this launch is good, but basically flawed in the fact that we already know that it's going to be outdated somewhat here in the not too distant future. So alrighty guys, that's what we're going to be talking about. Before we get into that, if you guys like these kind of videos, please smash that like button. Really helps me out. YouTube really wants to suppress smaller creators at this point in time and elevate basically the people just spouting off the same things that the corporate media wants them to. So if you want to fight back against that, smash that like button, comment in the comment section, and subscribe to the channel. And that really tells YouTube that videos like these are being supported by the community. And I want to thank you all for your support. Alrighty, so RTX 3060 Ti. Basically, it's just a cut down 3070. Comes in with 8 gigs of RAM, 256 memory bus, and just fewer CUDA cores. Comes in about 10% slower and slots in a little bit above the 2080 Super and a little bit below the 2080 Ti in last generation performance. So you're basically talking about better than 2080 Super for $399 MSRP. That sounds really good. And it is. I mean, let's be honest. In today's market, that is pretty solid. You also get the benefits of Ampere, which to me, the biggest one is HDMI 2.1. If you have an LG OLED, you can definitely take advantage of that or any other modern HDMI 2.1 display. So, okay, so there's a lot of good going on there, but what's the real drawback to this? Well, first off, much like with the RX 6800 series, the MSRP is more like I guess it is literally an MSRP. It's a suggested retail price because many of the AIB cards are substantially more expensive than that. So while there were options available at the $399 price point, many of them were closer to $450 and some of them as high as $500 or $499. Now, why would you buy this over a 3070? Well, you shouldn't, especially at the same price. I would take a worse cooler on a 3070 than a better cooler on a 3060 Ti. That's just me, but that's basically one of the options that you had available here today. So much like I said with the 6800s, the MSRP is much lower than what some of the AIB cards are going for. So that's a real shame, but at the very least, there were options at the $399 price point. So good and bad there. To me, the card is worth $399 at this point. Maybe up to $429. I personally would not spend any more than that on the card. Performance-wise, compared to last generation's $399 King, that was the 6700XT, it's about 20% faster. So if you're spending over $480 or $480 or more, you're spending 20% more money. So at that point, what are you doing? You could have had that level of performance, price to performance, last generation. So it has to be under $480 for this card to even make any sense at all. And like I said, if you're getting that high, you might as well just wait on a 3070 to become available and get that at $499. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like I said, it's a good card at the MSRP or even close to the MSRP. You get too far away from there, to me, it's just not worth it. Now, the big elephant in the room isn't so much last generation's cards or the 3070. It's actually going to be an upcoming Nvidia card, the 3060 non-Ti. And this is going to be based on the GA106 die. It's going to be smaller. It's going to have less CUDA cores, of course. That's just normal. Likely going to have a 192-bit memory bus. Once again, that's pretty much par for the course. But this time around, we are expecting Nvidia to refresh their lineup here coming into 2021. And we expect this card to probably be announced at CES and probably launch January, maybe early February. But this card's going to have 12 gigabytes of RAM. That's what we're all expecting. as Nvidia will refresh the 3070 up to 16 gigabytes and the 3080 to 20, 22, or 24. 20 plus gigabytes. Nobody's 100% sure on that. So basically, to compete with AMD, they're going to up their game on memory. So looking at an 8 gigabyte card at $400 to $500 here in 2020, going into 2021, it just doesn't feel like enough at this point. Especially since, like I said, we're expecting the 3060 to have 12 gigabytes, probably be 10% slower, and probably cost $350. That would be my guess, $349 on the MSRP. So $50 cheaper, more memory, slightly slower. Now for 1440p, you're basically going to have similar performance between the 3060 Ti and the 3060. Like I said, it's not going to be that big of a difference, but that VRAM difference in the future is going to play a major role. So whereas the 3060 Ti, maybe 2 or 3 years from now, can only run high or maybe even medium textures, the 3060 will be able to run ultra textures at that point in time, those super high definition graphics packs that you guys really love. So the cheaper, weaker card will actually be superior on that. So this kind of raises a big question in my mind. It's like, well, would this card really be worth buying here today? And my answer to that is no. The card's simply too expensive considering it's going to have such a short lifespan. It's kind of where the 3060 or the 3070 is here at this point. With the 8 gigabytes of RAM at $499 plus, the card just doesn't feel like it's got the legs to go the distance. Now, if you upgrade every generation, that's fine. But if you do upgrade every generation, I typically don't recommend spending $400 plus because you lose more value once you get into those higher price brackets because they get kicked down much harder than the cheaper stuff. And realistically, if you get a $300 to $400 card, basically sub $400 card, they don't lose anywhere near as much value. You could sell it off, recover most of your investment, and reinvest that into a new card a year or two from now. So yeah, that really puts the 3060, the upcoming 3060, in a really strong light. And we know AMD will counter with a 6600 XT. I believe, now this isn't confirmed, this is just speculation from what I've seen out there, it will likely be based on Navi 22. They'll have the 5700 XT at the top, the 5700 non-XT, and then they will do something like the 3060 Ti as the 6600 XT. And that will likely also have 12 gigabytes of VRAM on a 192-bit bus. So that puts the 3060 Ti kind of sandwiched in between both Nvidia's future card and AMD's future card. And like I said, price-wise, one I think is going to be cheaper. I think the 3060 will be cheaper of the two. And I think the 6600 XT will have similar performance to the 3060 Ti, but will have that extra VRAM. So as I see it, that's kind of where the market lands right now. And this card to me just seems like it's just not quite good enough. It's just not quite there. In today's exact market, it is, but we do know that new cards are coming out. And we know they'll be announced here soon. In about a month, we'll actually have official announcements or something like that. And then probably a few weeks later, they'll be out. So about a month and a half from now, I think that this card will actually be made irrelevant by both companies. Much like how I see the 3070 becoming irrelevant once they replace that with a 16 gig model, and the 3080 will also be made redundant once there's a 20 gigabyte model out there. So I'm kind of interested to hear what you guys think. Is this worth buying? Are you like, well, I could buy it now and sell it then? Do you think that you'll be able to recover most of your money? Maybe. Obviously, availability will still be limited a month and a half from now. So perhaps once those sell out, the new cards sell out immediately, as they will. You could sell off your card, recover most of your money. Hell, you might even make a profit. So maybe that's the case. You want to buy one of these as a placeholder. But to me, buying a card for like a month just doesn't seem worth it in my book. And realistically, if you're looking for a card that's going to last you, 2 or 3 years, I just don't see 8 gigabyte cards in this price bracket really cutting it. Now, if you're looking at sub $300 cards with 8 gigabytes, that makes a lot of sense. You're not spending a whole lot of money. Obviously, you're okay with either compromising texture quality a little bit to run at lower resolutions for higher frame rates, things like that. So to me, really, an 8 gigabyte card does not belong above the $300 mark in 2020 going into 2021. But I'm really interested to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Are you guys going to be picking any of these up? Are you going to wait? Are you like me and you're like, I'm just going to wait till all of this calms down? Maybe the end of Q1 next year, we'll start revisiting this. I want to know where you guys are at. Overall, I think that it's a good card in a vacuum. The problem is we already know what both companies are going to be doing. They're going to be more competitive. This card was obviously planned from the beginning to go ahead and get a $399, a sub $400 card to the market before Christmas. And I think that that's a good thing. That's one of my major gripes with the AMD launch is that basically their entry point was $579, and with the AIBs, it's like $670. That's simply too high for the vast majority of you guys out there. Personally, I'm not paying that much for a graphics card. That's just my personal preference, and I know many of you guys fall in line with that. Most of you guys are like $400 or less is really kind of your happy spot. Now you do have an option from Nvidia. This was obviously the easiest way for them to do it. It's just cut down 3070s so they could actually have an option for you guys. But personally, I'm just going to recommend you guys hit that hold button if you are looking at the 3060 Ti. Wait until we know what the 3060 will be. As I said, I believe it'll be about 10% slower. So if you're looking at better than 2080 Super, we're probably looking at better than 2070 Super, so probably around 2080 level performance. So there's probably only going to be 5 to 10% difference there. And like I said, you'll get the extra VRAM and all the rest of that. So I believe that that's going to be the better overall option as it'll last longer. But like I said, I want to hear your thoughts. Comment in the comment section below. Make sure you smash that like button to help the channel out. Let YouTube know that little creators like me, you guys want to see more content from us. And that really helps promote this type of conversation out there on the YouTubes instead of the old adage of, hey, this is great, just buy it. So if you want to fight against that, smash that like button, share this on social media. That really does help out as well. I thank you all for your support. Hope you all have a great day, and I will catch you guys in the next video.